He is not here, so this case may go forward by default. All right, Ms. Brown Zito, you call your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I would call Ms. Sonnier. Will you please state your name?
Bethany Sonnier.
And we are here today to talk about your child, Maverick Sonjay. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is his father?
Frederick Miguel Williams.
And at the time when you became pregnant with Maverick, were you having sexual relations with any other individual?
No, ma'am.
And have you ever told Mr. Williams that somebody else was the father?
No, ma'am.
Now, let me see if I can take care of this one issue right here. Now, you have another case with another child, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that case, was there a non-disclosure issued for not putting out your information privately?
I think
in that
so.
case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You have somebody else that you are afraid of?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you don't have any personal problems with Mr. Williams?
He have hit me one time when I first found out I was pregnant.
But other than that,
No, ma'am.
when did that happen?
I found out I was pregnant December 11th. It happened maybe a week before Christmas. I'm not sure the exact date.
Okay. But other than that, you don't have any problems with Mr. Williams?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Does he visit with Maverick?
No, ma'am.
When was the last time you saw Maverick?
When Maverick was 3 months old.
And Maverick is how old today?
A year and a half.
Okay. So it's been a little over a year since he's seen Maverick.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now, if he has visitation with Maverick, would you want those to be a stepped up kind of visitation so that he and Maverick could get used to each other?
Yes, ma'am, but I want it to be supervised.
Okay. So are you understanding that it could be supervised for a little while and then it would move up to something other than supervised?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so that's what you are wanting. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long do you think that it would take with Maverick to be supervised before he would be comfortable with Mr. Williams?
I'm not sure because he really doesn't know him. So I really don't know.
And he's only a year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you requesting back child support from Mr. Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
Since Maverick was born, has he given you any money to take care of for support of Maverick?
No, ma'am.
Have you and Mr. Williams lived together since Maverick was born?
No, ma'am.
Okay. How is Maverick covered for health insurance?
He's on Medicaid.
Does Mr. Williams have any other minor children that you know of?
Yes, ma'am. He has 6 other kids.
And is he, if you know, is he ordered to pay child support on any of those 6 children?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay. Your Honor, for the record, we show that there are 5 other dependents on order that have orders. Do you live in Jefferson County?
Yes, ma'am.
And does Maverick live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Does Mr. Williams live in Jefferson County, if you know?
No, ma'am.
He does not?
No, ma'am.
Okay. To your knowledge, does he live in Harris County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, I would pass the witness.
Ms. Sonnier, did you ever tell Mr. Williams that he wasn't Maverick's dad?
No, sir.
Have you ever told Mr. Williams that somebody else might be Maverick's dad?
No, sir.
And have you and Maverick always lived in Jefferson County?
Yes, sir. Ever since he's been born, we've been in Jefferson County.
All right. Your relationship with Mr. Williams, did that take place in Houston or here?
In Houston.
Okay. So after your relationship was over with Mr. Williams, you moved to Jefferson County?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen or talked to Mr. Williams lately?
I talked to him on video last week because my son had to go to the emergency room. So I was trying to let him know. But that's the only time I talked to him since last week.
Did y'all talk about the hearing that was scheduled for this week?
No, sir. He should. I didn't know until yesterday. I got an email. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if he got a letter or something. I don't know.
Okay. Ms. Sonnier, I'm going to do a phased-in visitation schedule where he's got to get to know Maverick before he just has weekends, okay?
Okay.
But just because I give him the visitation, Ms. Sonnier, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to exercise it. Always
Okay.
remember, Ms. Sonnier, the first part of his visitation is going to be a certain number of supervised visits. If he never finishes the number of supervised visits that I give him, then he can't move to the unsupervised section, okay?
Okay.
So what that means, Ms. Sonia, is I'm going to say he has to do 8 visits at each phase, okay? That doesn't mean that if he just waits for 4 months, he misses that phase. He has to do 8 supervised visits before he gets to move to the next 8 unsupervised visits, okay?
Okay.
Because I do my visitation schedules in a certain number of visits, not a certain number of weeks or months.
Okay.
And that
Yes,
way
sir.
that way I ensure that the absent parent has to follow my court order to make sure that he gets to know Maverick first, okay?
Yes, sir. Will he get a letter or sir? Like how will he know?
Well, they'll send him a copy of the order after I sign it.
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering.
All right. You have any other
Yes,
questions, Miss Sonia, before I make a ruling?
no, sir.
All right. Of course, going to find the court has jurisdiction. Of course, going to find that based on the testimony of Miss Sonia, I'm going to find that Mr. Frederick Williams is the biological and now the legal father of Maverick Sonjay. Hearing no evidence in regards to the name change, the child's name will remain Sonia. I'm going to find that it is not in the party's best interest to name them as joint managed conservators. Miss Sonia will be the sole managing conservator of Maverick. Mr. Williams will be a possessory conservator. There will be no domicile restriction in this case, and I will grant the non-disclosure as to a third party. Mr. Williams will have visitation at any and all times mutually agreed to by the parties. If no mutual agreement, then he's going to have visits at a phased-in schedule with 8 visits at each phase. So that'll be 8 supervised visits for half a day, followed by 8 unsupervised visits for half a day, followed by 8 unsupervised visits for the day, followed by 8 one-night, overnight unsupervised visits. So when he gets done with that last 4th phase, Ms. Sonia, he can have standard after that. So he's going to have to do
Okay.
30. He's going to have to do 32 phased-in visits. That's going to, if he does every single one of them, ma'am, it's going to take him about 1.5 years just to get those done. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Child support is going to, I'll order Miss Sonia to maintain the health insurance that she has on the child. Mr. Williams is going to be court ordered to pay child support as per a minimum wage presumption. I will give him credit for the 5 other dependents. So child support is $150 a month. Medical support is $15. That's 15. Retroactive child support, the amount of $3,000. That'll be paid back at a rate of $20 a month. Court cost by October 31st of 2024. That take care of all the issues in this case before me, Ms. Brown Zito?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe it does.
Ms. Sonia, Ms. Brown Zito's office is going to prepare an order for me. They're going to send it to me. If it matches what I said, I'm going to sign it and get it back to them. Then they're going to make a copy of it and send it to you and to Mr. Williams, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Sonia?
No, sir.
All right. I hope your hair appointment comes out great.
Thank you.
You have a good day, man.